Hello everyone, this is going to be my LEC preview for Spring Split. I'm going to rank all the players and the teams, and yeah, let's do it. Starting off with top lane, we're going to put all players in. To start off with, the thing with top lane is, top lane pre in Europe is in a weird state right now. I think there's some shining lights. I think there's a lot of very criminal things happening. So the thing about top lane is there's some rookies that came in that were like pretty meh. Pretty meh. Let's start off in S tier. Let's start off in S tier. I think Oscar Renin clearly had one of the best top lane splits we've seen in a while. He was clearly the best player on his team. He was arguably MVP of the split. He was really good. He basically had no bad games. He was carrying Fnatic with Razok in a lot of positions to just wins because the team was like running it or just very inactive. He was actively carrying games from top lane, which really mattered for Fnatic in the early part of the split. The thing is, there's only one top laner who really comes close to Oscar Renin right now, and it's Merwin. He was pretty good this split. He was basically just playing a lot of Cassandra, which is, you know, kind of a weird one. Very easy champion. Very easy to play, but on the other hand, he did really well on it. And he also was one of the best Ambessa players when it first came in. And yeah, he was just like really good overall. He also kind of didn't have any bad games. He was pretty good. He was pretty good. On the other hand, let's start with some other ones. Irrelevant kinda was a disappointment this split. I'm gonna be real. I think Irrelevant really had a bad showing. He looked really scuffed on a different team. It was also because of Fearless. He's really bad at Mbessa actually. It's definitely not a champ that suits him, and I mean, Irrelevant's champ pool isn't the biggest, and we've already seen this in like previous iterations. Whenever it comes to playoff series, Irrelevance just gets targeted, and yeah, suddenly he collapses as a player. Or back in Misfits, he was also an issue on top lane when it came to better opponents abusing him for his champion pool. I think right now I would put him around C tier. I think, maybe not. I think he's fine there. Alright, let's move on. I think Kana goes to S. I think I actually forgot about Kana when I was talking about Oscar Renin. I think Kana deserves to be here. Surely. Like, Kana was so good, he was the only one kinda like able to withstand against Zeus. 369 a bit too. He was really good. He was really solid. Can't hate on Kana, but yeah, he kinda ramped up over the split. He didn't have the greatest start, but he was also like never really bad. So I think this is like fine. So if you look at this, LEC top lane is pretty good at the top, yeah. I think BB deserves to be here. I think he had a pretty mid split. I don't think he was very great whatsoever. I think his issues from last summer are shining through again. He's just not a good laner, and what was good about BB this split is his champion pool. He really just has his way of finding creative counters to meta champs, and then his team abuses it. Also, a thing that just happens to G2 a lot is whenever they need to win, they just put BB on like these unkillable frontliners. Like back in the day, like the last 2 years, it was a lot of Ornn whenever it mattered, or even on the 2022 version of G2 when they did the lower bracket run in Spring Split before MSI. What happened there was after they lost, they just put BB on Ornn a lot, and they just played team fights and they won. And this is what makes BB good. Like BB just has creative counter picks. He's pretty fine in team fights. He's good. He shows up, but his laning is pretty mediocre. And yeah, he's not the greatest player. And I mean, this is a flaw he's had for a very long time. So he can be at times. At internationals, he really shows up, but within the LEC, he's never really the best. After that, I would probably put Nako. I think he had a really good rookie split. I think he also had some rough games. I think the best rookie on that team is Chayek, or from what we've seen is Chayek. The thing with Nako is he's just like really mechanical prodigy. He really reminds me of Oscar Renin when he came in, or when he was in ERLs as well. They are very similar players, so this guy could turn out to be really good in a few years, and I think he's already on a good way there. So then we move on, and yeah, it gets bad from here on onwards. I think Adam had not a really good split. Adam was like pretty bad this split, but I think he was still like he was playing on Rogue. He couldn't really do much more. So I think he's fine putting him B. I think he is just the 5th best top laner right now. I think I might move up irrelevant in this list. I will see. The thing is like I don't know. It's a very weird one. It's a very weird one. So I don't know. Honestly, I would also like I could do this and I'll be pretty happy with that because I do think there is a gap right now. Maybe it's something like this. Yeah. Maybe it's something like this. I think this is probably a good one. We've already talked about irrelevant. Let's talk about Lot. The thing with Lot is I never thought Lot is a really good ERL player. I didn't think he was that great. He's pretty serviceable, but he's not a shining star. He probably, unless I'm missing something, unless I miss scrim data or whatever, he will probably not make it towards the top ranks and top lane in the LEC. He's a rookie still, so he can still do it. I mean, we saw Nuke go from being the worst mid laner in the LEC to actually being a pretty good mid laner now. So yeah, he can do it. Carlson is pretty young, but I don't know. He's just serviceable. He's not really gonna win you a game. He's just fine, which can be fine on some teams, but on this team, it's just yeah, it doesn't make the team a lot better. Maybe I move Carlson up. I'm not sure. Maybe I do this. I probably do this. Yeah, that's the thing with Carlson. He's not. I don't think he's really promising. I think he's very mid. Not really special. He's just a role player, and I don't think that's what you should want from a top laner. I think top lane is a very important role in modern day League of Legends. I think it's really important to have a skilled top laner that can carry games, and I don't think Carlson is one of those. And maybe he can turn out to be a guy like that one day, but he isn't right now. Coming to Gen X, I think Gen X had a terrible split. He did some very atrocious stuff on Jace. His item builds were terrible. His rune setups were terrible. His gameplay was terrible. I think Gen X probably shouldn't be in the league. As much as he was like super serviceable in ERLs and on BDS Academy, I don't think he should be in the league. I'm gonna be real. I think he's too old. I think you've seen him enough to realize this guy doesn't really do anything with his chance in the LEC. He doesn't do anything great. He's just very serviceable at max, and that's not what you should spend your time on if you're trying to win. So that's top lane for you. Okay, welcome back. We're going over jungle now. Let's start off with this sweet prince here, our sweet Turkish prince in the BDS jersey. The thing with War of Free is, I was doubtful about his return into the LEC. but I think he had a really good split. I think he was arguably the best player on this team. With Nuke, the thing is, like, in playoffs, 113 was actively holding his team in games and series. He actively gapped Razok in the Fnatic series, and they should have won that series if the rest of the team showed up. And no, even if the rest of the team really showed up, Nuke also choked it. So basically, it was a 113 1v9 show, and I think that makes me put him on A tier for sure here. Talking about Razok, the thing with Razok is he's a massive choker at this point. Razok always chokes when it matters and when he's needed. Or whenever there's pressure involved. In regular season, he's really good, and most of the time in playoffs, if it goes towards the final, he's also pretty good. But whenever it really matters and whenever the team stumbles, he just collapses as a player. Which was really visible this split in Fnatic whenever playoffs came around. I would put him below 113 here, but the thing with Razok is he can at all times also just be the best jungler in the league. So that's where I'm gonna put him. Skimond, unironically, I think he had an insanely good split, and I didn't expect him to be that good. I think he had a worse debut split than Yike, but Yike also just happened to be the best jungler in Europe. So there's that. Yike is just insane, and you shouldn't measure people with Yike. But Skumond is very close to it, and I think he had a really insane rookie split, and I do think he is the second best jungler in Europe right now. I think he deserves his spot here, you know? Going down to the dark side of the LEC junglers, we gotta talk about Isma. The thing with Isma is he was on a really bad SK team with a really bad support, probably bad communication, and really hard choking solo lanes. On the other hand, I do just think he's the worst jungler in the league, and I think there's like no contest really. I think looking at this, I think he should just be the worst jungler in the league, and if that is different, I'm really happy for him because I actually want to see him succeed. But I also want to see GX succeed, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he's like really. I don't even know if he's better than Closer, and I don't think Closer is good. So there's that. I've already talked about Yike a bit. I think Yike is the best jungler in the league. I think he's shown that. I think he's also shown some problems. This split, I think his carry games were not that good, especially at internationals. His champ pool was pretty limited, but on the other hand, he is just really good at what he does, and really adaptable player at this point. Also, he's just the brick, not the brick, the wall, the core of the blue wall, which holds the KC team together. So I think he's doing a good job on that. Elyoya, I was really hating on Elyoya last year. I think he was underperforming towards comparing him towards his teammates and what role he has on the team. I don't think he was that great, but I think he's had a really good winter split. I think he was really good. I would have him as the third best jungler. I'm not sure about S or A right now. I will put him A, above 113, but I think he was really, really insane. I think we got to see glimpses of the old Elyoya we've missed for a while, and that made us pretty happy. Malrang. The thing with Malrang is, when he won the league, he was overhyped as this like demon jungler that just does random shit and it just works, and he's like the best jungler in the league. The thing was, my opinion of Malrang always was that he was just bad. Because he literally just flips the game and it works because his team is that good. The thing is though, I was really skeptical of the Malrang pickup, but then I saw this split and he was like genuinely the best player on his team. I think Malrang had a really good split. I think Malrang was really good. It's just that his team was really garbage, so he couldn't really show much. But he showed promise. I think he could stay pretty good, and that made me pretty happy. Bukata coming in as a rookie from KTB. The thing with Bukata is I think he is solid. I think he has potential, but I don't think he's like a Skewmont level rookie. I don't think he's a Yike level rookie. I don't think he's a 1-1-3 guy. I would probably just put him C right now. I think that is okay. I think he's better than Isma, because I've seen Isma just run it down a lot. Yeah, he has to prove himself in the LEC. Shio, for me, goes into B tier. I don't think he had the greatest split, but I think his summer split was really insane. And then again, it's really hard to play on that Heretics team, because yeah, their player level is just not that good, and for what they had, I think they did a pretty good job. So I think having him B tier is fine. Going to Linkas, I think Linkas was kind of a disappointment last year in summer, but I think he's ramping up. I think he's getting a lot better, and yeah, he's doing a pretty good job, and I think he deserves his spot in B tier here. I'm pretty happy with the jungle list. Yeah, I like it. Jungle role in Europe is actually pretty stacked right now. It might just be the most stacked role, honestly, with 80 carry maybe. Jungle role is really stacked, so there's a lot of really good junglers. I mean, just look at our top 5. 4 of these people could just be the best jungler in the league at all times, and there's 1-1-3 who has the potential to get there. We just haven't seen it yet. So there's that. All right, let's go over mid lane. Okay, let's start off with Nuke. I'll put him A tier. I'm not quite certain. He's either A or B. I will have to see where I put the rest. But the thing with Nuke is he had a really good split. As I already said, him and the 1-3 with the Shine Light on his team. I do think he looked worse than last year. And I don't think he's at his best right now. And I think he clearly choked in playoffs, which is not the greatest sign. But there's that. So here's maybe the controversial take. I don't know. Humanoid is just the best mid in the league with Vladdy. I think these two are just fighting for best player in the league, but the thing with Humanoid is kinda didn't really have like bad games. I think he was just really good this split and really solid. The thing with Humanoid, and the thing is, he was also just gapping everyone really hard in lane. Like, even Vladdy, when Vladdy played against Humanoid, he got shafted by Humanoid. That's like the thing. And I think it would be really crazy not to put Humanoid in S tier here. The thing with Caps is, I definitely do not think Caps is S tier right now. I think he had a really bad split for his standards. I don't think he's great. I think he looked fine, but I don't think he's looking all too great for his standards and what people hold him to. So yeah, I will put him in A tier above Nuke. For now, Jackie's was really hyped for this split, but he really didn't show up. Sadly, I think he's been B tier. I think it's hard to put him higher than that, and yeah, there's that. Vladdy, already talked about him. I think he deserves to be S tier behind Humanoid. He completely demolished Caps, completely gapped Caps. He's had insanely good showings most of the split. He's just super consistent, super good. His problem is still his laning, but it works out totally fine unless he's playing against Humanoid. So here's that. Jojo, real disappointment this split. I think I expected a lot from him. I expected him to be really good. In the end, he was actually causing his team to lose games really hard. I think his team would have been a lot better if Jojo was just good. So I'm putting him C for now. I think it's hard to put him higher than that. Would be rude to put him lower. I think he was still serviceable in some games, but he also had some real stinkers. Larson, I think it's time we put him on forward watch at this point. I was also always a Larson defender, but he had a terrible split. He kind of just did nothing the entire split. Yeah, was a really bad look for him. I hope he will perform better because he's grinding a lot, but I'm unsure what Larson we will see. So I'm excited to watch that, but he's D for now. Reeker, similar to Gen X, I think he's had opportunities now. He is just choking. He's just not made to be an LEC player at this point, and I think that's something you gotta accept or try really hard, or maybe like prove me wrong this split. But he looked terrible. He looked really bad. On the other end, Camilo, a guy who came from LFL Div 2, looked pretty fine. The thing is, when Camilo looks bad, he looks really terrible. He does just look like a Div 2 player playing against like a good one. But on the other hand, he did actually carry some games, which the people in his proximity here just didn't. So I do actually think he had a better split than Jojo. Especially given the team he's on. So that's actually pretty exciting for someone coming out of Tier 2. Who I thought would just be the worst player in the league. Jayek, most surprising rookie for me, I think. I think he had an insanely good split. Really good rookie. He was just super good. He was actively carrying games for his team. As a mid laner in this split, and it's hard to carry a lot of games when you support Hylissang. So yeah, I would actually put him high A right now, given the team he's on compared to Caps on G2, and I think he had a really good showing, and I think he's really good. Moving on to AD carry. Let's start here. Ice had a pretty bad split, in my opinion. I think he was super invisible. I think he was really not that good. It's hard for me to rate Ice highly this split. I don't know. It's a weird one. I already thought Ice was really overrated last year. I think he's just a static AD carry that doesn't really do much. His item builds were always bad. He oftentimes does not carry games that he should carry. I think he's a C tier player. I think in the role this stacked, I think I can't put him above C tier right now. Upset had a fine showing. I don't think he was ultra great. I think he was pretty good. I think I would put him A tier. One of the better upset splits. I think he's definitely shown worse, and yeah, he's on an uptrend, but I mean, it's upset after all. It's kind of the same player ever since he came in, so yeah, doesn't really make that much of a difference. Hans Sama is just the AD carry in the league. It's hard to beat this guy. He's just so good. Killist comes in, looks close to him, and they play, and Hans Sama just demolishes Killist in the first series, and it looked pretty dark. Noah, I think Noah and Jun were core parts of their team's success in regular season, and they kind of got dragged down by their solo lanes. I think Noah is really insane. The thing with Noah is he just has his choking issues, but if he gets over them, it's just really good for him. He's a really good player. He has insane hands. He actually plays forward. Yeah, he can actually carry you a lot of games. He's also really good in lane with Jun. They really snowball hard in early games oftentimes, and that is just a good thing to have as a team. Killist, is the second best AD carry in the league in his rookie split. I do think we should say that. But he does have his issues. He's not the greatest laner. He reminds me of Danny a bit. From EG back in the day when he came in. Really, really flashy player. Really insane hands. Really good team fighter. Really good on midsection. One of the best midsection players in the game. He just basically doesn't die. But his laning phase is not the greatest, and that can be an issue for him. But he's really good. Super. I think he's in the same tiers as the others in A. I think Super had a pretty good split. He also has his bad games, but overall, he will carry you games. He's a player to build around. He's really, really good. I would say he had the worst split than Noah. I would put him. I think within A, it's hard to rank them, but I think Super had some bad games that looked not too nice, but yeah. I think he's really good. Patrick, on the other hand, I think this guy is an absolute fraud. I think he should not be in the league. I think he's the worst. One of the worst players in the league if we exclude support role. There were some, now it's just loopy, but I don't think he's good whatsoever. I think he's way past his prime. I think he's just really bad. He had a lot of situations where he could have carried games for his team. He just did not. And that's the reason Rogue actually ended up being that bad, because he just doesn't do anything. Kadui, rookie split. I think he deserves it a lot. I think he's gonna come in and be beat here. His team is still not very good, but I think his level is just good enough to be better than Ice and Patrick, and I think he's a solid B tier player. Fluckhead also slides into B tier. I think he had a pretty good split. Him and Stend are actually pretty consistent. I can't hate on them, but then again, Fluckhead is just a very mid player. He's never gonna be the big carry. He's never gonna be one of the great 80 carries of Europe, but I think he's a good mid-tier player for LEC standards. Kazi, I think he also slides into A. I would put him at the bottom right now, because the others kind of had better room to shine, or Noah just was like really, really good. But Kazi also just has potential to slide up here. If Vitality looks better this split, so I think he deserves to be here. He is just one of the most gifted prodigies Europe has ever seen, and yeah, I'm excited to see Vitality split and how they develop around their pieces. Okay, we're gonna talk about support right now. I think this might be the spiciest one, because of the Niski roster move. Niski rolls up to support. I think it's gonna be very exciting. Paris as one of the most hyped rookies coming in this season. I think he actually underperformed quite a bit. I don't think he was that good. I think he was a really mid player. Not too much to say about him. I didn't have the greatest opinion of him. I think he's very mid, C tier, I would say right now for the time being. Mickey, I think, had a really shaky split. I think he was pretty handless. I think I expected a lot more. The thing about Mickey X is he does just play the map well, which matters a lot in top level League of Legends and automatically makes you a solid support. But from the level we've seen, I think he's just B tier for the moment. It's hard for me to put him higher than that. Moving on, Labrov, I think, had some terrible moments, but also just had some really good ones. I think Labrov is a shaky player, but for the most part, he's pretty good. I think he deserves to be A tier. I think Jun had an MVP level split on his team. It's just that his team didn't make it far. I think Jun was far and beyond the best support. This guy was hitting insane engages all the time. He was actively carrying games on support role, on tanks. on Engage, and it was really nice to see. But sadly, his team is not that good. Hopefully, it will be better with Isma coming in, but I doubt it. But he looked so good. Targamas, I think he's A above Labrov. Really good showing. I think him and Killis did pretty well in lane swap scenarios. I think Targamas just has a pretty wide champ pool and solid laning, and it helps Killis a lot to survive lanes. He also finds super good angles in team fights. He's one of the big reasons Casey is that good in team fights, because he just finds super good angles and plays fights super well, and that's something really good to have on support role. Alvaro also slides into A tier. I think he just had a pretty great split, honestly. I think he was pretty flawless. He isn't the most flashy player. He doesn't actively carry that much, but he's just super solid. Almost never plays badly, and that's something really nice to have. Moving on, Execute. I think he was pretty bad. It's hard for me to rate him higher than D tier. I think he's just not good enough anymore. At least wasn't on that team. Maybe it would work if his carries would actually like try to carry the game, but on that team it really didn't work. So I have to put him D tier. Same for Loopy. I think Loopy just looked terrible. I think he's looked so much worse than Luon did, and I do not understand why they let go of Luon for Loopy. I think Loopy just looked terrible. I don't even think he was good with Rahel in 2v2s. I think he's just straight up bad. I think he was worse than Hylissang, and I think Hylissang is terrible. So yeah, I think he shouldn't be in a league. I think it's crazy he has a spot, especially now they're pairing him with Kerui. I don't see that working out. I'm gonna be real. Stend, I will put ahead of Paris, honestly. I think he had a better split than Paris, and also a worse spotlight to play on. Worse stage to play on, sorry. I think he's pretty solid. He might turn out to be a middling support in the LEC, maybe able to shoot up to A tier depending on what team he's on, but for the moment he's C tier. Okay, let's talk about Niski. The thing with Niski is he's coming in as a mid laner, and he just rolls off the support, which you could say, okay, he's gonna be bad. The thing is, his skill set for a mid laner was already like really focused on map play, shot calling, and everything, which just automatically makes him a good support, in my opinion. He understands the map, he understands how to enable other players, and that is really important on support role. I genuinely think he will be Mickey tier from the get-go, because Mickey had a really bad split mechanically and still did everything around the map, and it still puts him in B tier. And I think support role is just that bad right now. And yeah, I think Niski is gonna come in. I think Niski is gonna be pretty good, and even if he's bad mechanically, I think he will play the map pretty well and be around Mickey's area. Yeah, that's it for support. That's it for this video. I'm gonna do the team tier list when I talk about the previews for this weekend of the LEC, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Have a good time.